What your experience being somebody's first sexual partner? The only time I took someone's virginity was when I was also a virgin. It was a really enjoyable moment emotionally. Physically we were both awful Elmau. Told them 2 minutes is a leviathan amount of time for intercourse, so the next guy looked like a god. I lasted 20 seconds. We were both very religious, very ashamed, and very horny. In her living room in the dead of night, while the whole family slept upstairs, we quietly grinded on each other until I exploded all over my stomach. Our 10th anniversary is on Thanksgiving this year. Since then I make sure she has a good time as well lol. I came in about 15 seconds. In my defense, I didn't know how good pussy would feel. I was my girlfriend's first. I had done a ton of research the day before to make sure I knew what I was doing. I tried to be as extremely gentle and understanding as possible. Sometimes being someone's first, especially when you've had partners in the past, can feel a bit daunting. But she always says she's grateful I was her first, and that means a lot to me. We were both 17-year-old virgins. We had been together for 6 months, and both nervous as hell. I did empty the chamber before she came over, as I was petrified of being the two-pump chump. We went extremely slow, and it took about 5 minutes to get halfway in. We kept at it, and similar to another post we noticed that things got dampy up. There was a nice puddle all over me. She was on top. We decided to try again the next day, and I cleaned up. After driving her home, I remember looking at myself in the mirror and almost disappointed that I didn't feel any different now that I wasn't a virgin. Overall, it kind of felt like a checkbox was checked. That said, the next month was insane as we discovered lube, and while we were 17. I was scared because it was dark and I was all alone by myself. We were both our first, still together after a year and a half. First time was good. I couldn't relax cause I was so nervous. But overall was nice. He was really gentle, trying not to hurt me. I've been 3 women's first. First time, no clue what we were doing. Stayed together for another 2 years. Second time, I knew what I was doing, so I made sure she was actually ready to go. She had a good time. We lived together for 2 years after that. Third one, I had no clue she was a virgin. It was in the dark, and she told me previously she wasn't a virgin. We were drunk and very horny. And outside. That woman loved doing it everywhere but a bed. We were never actually a couple. She married my best friend. I had 2 such encounters. I expected blood, but there was almost none immediately. Was very gentle and it went well. I can't say I enjoyed it a lot, because it requires to be too cautious. Depends on a girl. If she has sexual inhibitions, then it's going to be difficult for some time even after the first one. My very first time was having sex with a younger chick in high school. She was experienced, and I was not. We ended up having sex in my foreigner for about an hour and a half, and I was so nervous that I couldn't come. We were both 17. I had only had one other partner at 16, which wasn't an emotionally happy relationship anyway, so it was sort of like a do-over for me too. She was a bit insecure about me not being mutually inexperienced, but it went well. Mainly because we had otherwise been very sexually active, exploratory outside of sex before it happened, so it felt like a safe and natural extension of what we had already. There was a bit of prom night momentum to it, and we actually broke up very shortly afterwards because she was essentially emotionally cheating in kind of an immature teenage way. Nevertheless, as grown adults with separate paths, we're still close. She's been a very loyal friend as the years have gone on, and retrospectively she says she was glad it was me, so I think that's a net positive. Awful. We were about to get it on, and then she said no when she learned I was uncircumcised, even though I kept everything real clean. Shit really fucked me up for a while, and I did not pursue sex or relationships for years. Was my ex first. It was a bit scary at first because I didn't want to hurt her. Lots of foreplay and taking things slow got us there. Things turned out pretty wonderful tbh. We cuddled afterward. It wasn't bad, but we were in a car, so it was more difficult. At the end he asked me if it was good for his first time. I didn't even know it was his first time. In high school I did not account for the fact she didn't know what to expect at the end of oral. I warned her, but she didn't tell me that she didn't know what that warning meant. Made a fucking mess of my car. PS this was way before everyone had access to porn. It was something. She was a 23-year-old virgin and she was extremely nervous about losing her virginity. I had a bottle of lube lying around to use and we went at it in the dark. She kept saying how much it hurt her because of how big I was, so I applied even more lube. She started to get really into it and I felt a puddle near my leg. At first I thought it was my bottle of lube, so we kept going. I felt the puddle get even bigger and I told her I need to see if the bottle is leaking. I turned on the lights and it turns out it was a puddle of blood. I guess when I popped her cherry she started to bleed a lot. I had it on my hands, legs, and sheets. We both started laughing and I told her not to worry as I grabbed the sheets and put it in the washer. After 40 years, we are still friends and I still get being her first benefits for life. Drunk banged some also drunk rando early in college and it was her first time. I still get heat for it every time I see the old crew. She ended up knocking on our door and hopped into my bunk bedroom of 4 twice before I had to put a stop to it. I just had no idea it was meaningful to her. Nice girl, now we're friends. Both mine and her first time, complete moral boost when she initiated it. It may seem strange, but I feel for a guy to initially make a first move into this subject is very common, but for it to be the other way around was a good feeling. Is that just my thinking?